Sanchez Stadium. My name is Candy Reid, delighted to be joined by Olga Savchuk for an interesting matchup, Olga.
The Queen of Madrid. How 20-year-old Eala walked into the Oscars of sports, then walked onto the clay and destroyed a Grand Slam finalist in 91 minutes. Picture this. A 20-year-old Filipina steps onto a red carpet in Madrid, draped in a handcrafted national dress made from pineapple leaves, stands shoulder to shoulder with Novak Djokovic and Aryna Sabalenka, captions her photo sandwiched between greatness, and then, less than 48 hours later, walks onto one of the most prestigious clay courts in the world and dismantles a former French Open finalist in straight sets. No drama, no nerves, just cold, surgical tennis. If that story doesn't have your attention right now, then I don't know what will, because what Eala pulled off in Madrid this week wasn't just a tennis match. It was a statement heard all the way from Spain to the streets of Manila. Let's set the scene properly, because the context here is everything, and if you skip the context, you miss the whole story. The Madrid Open is not just any tournament. The Caja Magica, where the matches are played, sits 650 meters above sea level. At that altitude, the air is thinner, the ball travels faster, and the clay bounces higher than at Roland Garros, higher than in Rome. It is the Estadio Aranza Sanchez Vicario, one of the grandest stages in clay court tennis. Olympics, for players who call Spain home, or who have trained their entire lives on Spanish clay. This is not an intimidating venue. It is a familiar one, and few players in the world have a deeper connection to Spanish clay than Eala. Eala is a graduate of the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain, and she has been based in the country for many years. Phil Star, when she walks into Madrid and says she feels at home, that is not a press conference cliché. That is a documented reality built across 8 years of clay court philosophy, topspin training, lateral endurance, and defensive transitions on the exact same surface she competes on. After her win, Eala said it herself in a mix of English and Spanish. I love Madrid. It's an amazing tournament. Every time I come here, I feel really comfortable. I feel at home. I've been here in Spain for many years. Rappler, she said that in both languages, effortlessly switching between them, because Madrid is genuinely her second home. But before she even touched a racket at the Madrid Open, Eala did something that captured the world's attention in a completely different arena. Just days before the tournament began, Eala attended the prestigious Laureus World Sports Awards, widely known as the Oscars of Sports, held at the historic Palacio de Cibeles in Madrid. Inquirer.net, she walked the red carpet in a Filipiniana designed by her uncle, renowned Filipino fashion designer Eala, featuring a flowing beige chiffon gown with a tasteful waist cutout, paired with a pina bolero that blended modern elegance with timeless Filipino craftsmanship. The game, pina fabric, for those who don't know, is a textile woven from pineapple leaves, and it is one of the most iconic materials in Philippine fashion history. The fact that it was made by her own uncle made the moment even more personal. In an interview with Tennis Channel, Eala shared that fulfilling this dream came together in an extraordinarily short time. I always had this dream that when I'm on a red carpet, I'll wear what's called a Filipiniana, she said. It's my first major red carpet, and this is the time. Hi Uncle was able to bring the vision to life in just a few days, with the gown shipped to Spain just in time for the event. GMA News Online. She described the Filipiniana as a quiet nod to where I come from and what I carry when I step into rooms like those. That single quote alone tells you everything you need to know about who Eala is as a person. She is not just a tennis player. She is a cultural ambassador, a national symbol, and a 20-year-old who carries an entire country's pride on her shoulders every single time she walks into a room. At the awards ceremony, legends Novak Djokovic and Eileen Jiu hosted the event, while Carlos Alcaraz and Aryna Sabalenka were crowned Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year. Business World, and right there among them was Eala, not as a fan, not as a bystander with a credential, but as a peer. She took a selfie with Djokovic and Jiu, posted it with the caption sandwiched between greatness, and the internet completely lost its mind. Rafael Nadal's own sister, Maribel Nadal, reportedly reacted to Eala's growing global presence, calling it truly incredible how much attention and inspiration she brings, not just to the Philippines, but to young boys and girls around the world. When the family of the greatest clay court player in history is singing your praises, something very real is happening with your career. Now, here is where the story shifts from the red carpet to the red clay. And this is where it gets genuinely compelling, because the opponent waiting for Eala at the Madrid Open was no pushover. Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova is one of the most decorated clay court veterans on the women's tour. 12 WTA titles, a French Open finalist in 2021, a career high ranking of number 11 in the world. This is a player who has been competing at the top level of professional tennis for over 2 decades, and she knows every trick in the clay court playbook. But here's the brutal reality of Pavlyuchenkova's situation going into this match, and it deserved to be spelled out in full, because it reframes everything that followed. In 2025, Pavlyuchenkova was diagnosed with Lyme disease, a neurological condition that she described as causing brain fog, fatigue, and constant headaches, leaving her essentially bedridden for stretches of the previous season. Layer on top of that a chronic knee injury that had been problematic since 2023, and you are not looking at a veteran in decline. You are looking at a veteran in survival mode. By the time she arrived in Madrid, Pavlyuchenkova was ranked number 116 in the world, playing at her first WTA 1000 tournament since Dubai back in February. Olympics, she didn't even have a direct entry into the main draw. She had to qualify. She beat Victoria Tomova, then ground through a brutal 3-set match against Yulia Sturdubtseva before she was even in the bracket. 3 matches, 4 days on clay, with a strapped right thigh, still working her way back from the neurological aftermath of Lyme disease. That is the woman who walked onto the Estadio Arantes Sanchez Vicario to face a 20-year-old who had literally just been standing next to Novak Djokovic at the Oscars of sports. The contrast could not have been more dramatic if someone had scripted it, and the match itself played out in a way that was less like an upset and more like an inevitability. The opening 4 games were genuinely competitive. Both players held serve, and it was level at 2 games apiece. Pavlyuchenkova was doing everything right on paper, mixing drop shots, targeting Eala's forehand, trying to disrupt the rhythm of the younger player. But the physical reality couldn't be hidden for long. In Game 5 of the first set, Eala broke Pavlyuchenkova to love, and the unforced errors started accumulating rapidly. Then came the medical timeout. Pavlyuchenkova left the court and returned with her right thigh heavily strapped. When she walked back onto that clay, her lateral movement was functionally gone. What Eala did next is the tactical detail that separates good tennis players from truly intelligent ones. She didn't attack harder. She didn't rush the net or go for more aggressive angles. Instead, she started looping the ball high over the net, deep into the corners, forcing Pavlyuchenkova to retreat behind the baseline and try to generate pace from a static position. It looks almost passive when you watch it. It looks like caution, but it was absolutely surgical. A player who cannot slide laterally, whose thigh is strapped, whose knee has been problematic for 3 years, who just played 3 qualifying matches in 4 days while still recovering from a neurological illness, cannot consistently generate pace from a static position. Not against a left-handed opponent whose cross-court angles open the court in directions that right-hand players simply cannot cover naturally. Eala didn't overpower Pavlyuchenkova. She made Pavlyuchenkova overpower herself. The numbers told the story with brutal clarity. Pavlyuchenkova committed 22 unforced errors in the first set alone. 22. Eala won 68% of her first serves and converted 76% of those points, while limiting unforced errors and maintaining control throughout longer rallies. Just women's sports. The first set closed 6-3. The second set followed the same script. Eala moved to 3-1. Pavlyuchenkova briefly found something deep in her professional instinct and won back-to-back points to trim the gap, a genuine flash of the player she had been at career-high number 11, controlled, powerful, precise. But it was too late and too little. Eala won 8 consecutive points to reach 5-2, and the match closed 6-3, 6-3. Total time, 1 hour and 31 minutes. Olympics. For a clay court match involving a 34-year-old veteran with 12 titles against a 20-year-old still finding her feet on the surface, that scoreline is almost shocking in how clean it was. Eala's breakpoint record over the course of the match was the final piece of evidence. She converted 4 from 8 opportunities. Pavlyuchenkova converted 1 from 6. The gap between those numbers is not just skill. It is composure under pressure, tactical clarity in critical moments, and the physical freshness to execute when it matters most. Eala herself reflected on the victory with her characteristic maturity. At this level, every match is a battle. All of us players, we fight till the end, and she's been on the tour many years, so I'm really happy with this win. Rappler. There is also a larger story here that goes beyond the scoreboard, and it is one that the numbers don't fully capture. Eala had reached a career-high ranking of number 29 earlier in the 2026 season, and the dip back to number 44 was a mathematical.
Welcome back, guys. I'm looking to reach 1,000 subs. Support me by clicking the subscribe button.